Well, let's go right now to former FEMA administrator Craig Fugate. Craig, I was very excited to speak with you. You were head of Florida Division of Emergency Management. Then you went to FEMA, where you were for 8 years leading FEMA. And in fact, in 2011, I believe it was, you oversaw 87 disaster declarations. I say all that. You're an expert on disasters. Could you put into perspective this storm compared to what you've dealt with in your career?
Well, this storm is really about the ice and the power outages. When you talk about responders, I think, I've dealt with storms like this before. We tend to think of the lights and sirens, folks. This is actually going to be your utility crews and your highway crews plowing and treating roads. They're going to be the primary response in this. And the way we help them is make sure people stay off the roads and stay home, especially in those areas getting ice.
Yeah, and the ice, so from what I understand in my research, when you get to 0.75 inches of ice, 3/4 of an inch ice, that's crippling. We're talking widespread tree damage, long-term power outages. How much of the country is expected to see that?
Well, right now, if you look at the forecast from National Weather Service, it's south of the main part of the snow belt. And it's kind of hard to say definitively, but if you look at where the Weather Service is putting this track, they're forecasting a 1/4 inch to almost an inch in some places, which will take down the power system. And that's what they're really trying to get people to focus on. They're using the term catastrophic ice accumulations. So we can expect power outages and trees down, very treacherous, almost undrivable conditions. And that's why local officials are working with their states and everybody's preparing for this. But the most important thing is for people to stay off the road, stay inside. And again, this is going to be a very hazardous situation, not only during the storm, but immediately after it.
And that term you just used, the catastrophic ice, from what I understand, the National Weather Service doesn't often use that term. It's pretty rare.
Yeah, if you go back and you look, they don't use catastrophic often, but when they are, it's to call attention to how dangerous the situation is. So the public goes, yeah, we've had ice storms before. This is not a before ice storm. This is one that's going to potentially cause power outages over days, if not longer, in the areas that are hardest hit.
And when I'm looking at this map here, I mean, this is a huge swath of the country. It is essentially half the country. And, when you deal with hurricanes, that's localized, maybe a state, tornadoes likewise, how often do you see a weather system that spans half the country? It seems like there's a lot of unknown in that.
There is, and that's why, the federal government, FEMA, is in contact with the states that are in the path of the storm. FEMA is operating their regional operations centers. There's a lot of stuff going on to support multiple states, and also the different timing as this has started out, the Texas, Oklahoma, and will ultimately be impacting the northeastern states. So this will be a multi-day event. This is really what FEMA, with the regional structures, is built for, is to handle these multiple impacts. And again, what most people will expect, I think, is the heavy snow and extreme cold temperatures. It's difficult, but it's more manageable. It's the ice that we're really concerned about and how much damage that does to the power system.
Craig, you came up with the Waffle House Index. I was very intrigued reading about this and watching videos of it last night. Can you explain for our viewers what that is and if it's applicable here?
Well, it is applicable, and it's very simple. The Waffle House, especially across the South, where you see a lot of them, the Waffle House Index is very simple. If it's open and full staff and menu, it's green. If it's open but limited menu, it's yellow. And if it's closed because of the storm, it's red. And it's a good indicator of things like power, road access, and the danger, because Waffle House is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They try to stay open as much as they can to serve their customers. But when that gets to the point where they're having to shut down, that's an area that's seeing significant impacts from the storm.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.